And welcome, folks, to Champions for Life. I'm your host today, Ken Wilson, and I have a fantastic guest today, Lorena Biasotti, who is a Clark County School District trustee, who's actually sitting in there on that board making a difference for your children. So it's going to be absolutely great. I can't wait to get and talk to her. She's going to talk about some great things that are happening. I want to mention, of course, that 40 Days for Life is active. It's ongoing. We're going to be going all the way through to November 2nd. So if you have yet to sign up for 40 Days for Life, please do so. Log into 40days40daysforlife.com /Las Vegas and find out when you would like to pray. Make sure you download the vigil location document and the statement of peace, which is a requirement for you to register, and then come and pray. And your prayers are making a difference. Join with us. There's I think there's 650 plus cities around the world that are actively praying right now in front of an abortion facility around the world. Hundreds of cities throughout the United States, Canada, and but around from Australia to England to Taiwan to Kenya. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing the impact that 40 Days for Life is. And remember, here in Las Vegas, where 40 Days for Life has prayed, those locations, 2 abortion facilities have closed. And they've moved away to another location, the one birth control care center, obviously, which is our prayer focus. We are praying there now, and so be a part. And if you'd like us to come and speak at your church talking about 40 days, we'd love to do that as well. Also, coming up is our gala for First Choice Pregnancy Services. It's going to be a wonderful gala. It's going to be on November 7th. There's going to be 2 events. There's going to be a lunchtime event at 12 noon and an evening event at 7 p.m. Both of those we're going to feed you. There's going to be lunch and dinner. You can make one or the other. And our keynote speaker at both is going to be Cal Zastro. And Cal Zastro, an amazing man, been in the pro-life movement for decades, making a difference. Great man of God. Was under the Biden administration. He was found guilty of violating the FACE Act and was imprisoned, and it required Trump to gracefully give him a pardon, which he will be bringing, I bet, to the gala. So you're going to meet Cal, wonderful brother, and big family, and a huge heart, and you're going to get to meet him. And so if you would like to register, now it's $150 for an individual seat if you want to come by yourself. But if you have a table of 10, it's $14.50. And then as your sponsorship increases, as you're seeing here, the $50,000 level, you're going to get private time with Cal, where you're going to actually meet and talk with him, and you'll just be blown away by how gracious a man this is. And it's going to be awesome. And all of this is going to be going to benefit First Choice Pregnancy Services. What is our dream? Our dream, going to be honest with you, is to open up, to replicate First Choice Pregnancy Services throughout Las Vegas, throughout Nevada, and throughout the United States. I mentioned it before, Focus on the Family, whom we absolutely love. We love Focus on the Family. Named First Choice Pregnancy Services the model crisis pregnancy center in the nation. In the nation. So how fitting would it be to replicate this? And besides that, we have 2.5 million people in our city alone, right? And there are only 2 pregnancy help centers here in Las Vegas. We are the women in our city are woefully underserved. We need more First Choice Pregnancy Services to help the young ladies out there with our free pregnancy tests, our free sonograms, our free counseling, all of our maternity care after the baby is born, wonderful ministries like Living Grace Homes that we can lead young ladies to who are needing housing, financial, material needs, whatever it is. And that's why I love First Choice. That's why you will love it as well. If you would like not only to be a sponsor, first of all, what you want to do for the gala, let's finish with that, is that you want to call First Choice. There's 2 ways to do it. You can call them, number at the bottom of your screen, 702-294-CARE. That's 294-2273. And say, hey, listen, I really would love to come to the gala and meet Cal Zastro. It's going to be fantastic. The other way to do it is by registering on our website, fcpschampions.org. Click Events, and just go to the bottom of the screen, just fill it all out. And again, this is coming up on November 7th, and you have a choice. Again, it'll be at 12 noon or 7 p.m. Now, if you're at that sponsorship level, yours will start at 6 p.m. because you're going to get to meet with Cal an hour earlier. So, and the same is true for the luncheon. So instead of noon, it'll be 11 a.m. when you're going to get to meet Cal. And my dream, and we still haven't got Cal, but I believe we're going to have an interview with Cal prior to the gala right here on this broadcast. So we're looking forward to that. Speaking of which, I want to thank KKVV, 1060 AM, the light of Las Vegas, for broadcasting this show on their airways. We love KKVV, the light of Las Vegas. Shout out to the general manager, who is recently married. I imagine if she's not still on her honeymoon, she'll be back at the station. And we're just happiness at KKVV. It's just happiness. We love KKVV, and we love the staff there as well for everything that they do for us in our city. Wonderful station, 1060 AM. And so I believe that is it for our announcements. We do want to talk about stats. Lorena, if you would pass me that little yellow. We're taking notes here on the Champions for Life radio broadcast. Our stats for this week here at First Choice. If you're not familiar with First Choice, again, we are a pregnancy help center. In other words, young ladies come in, couples come in, and they need help. The woman may be pregnant, maybe it's unattended, maybe it's abortion-minded, maybe she would like to have the child, but she needs help. First Choice is there for them free of charge. There is never a client that is charged a dime at this clinic. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine, Lorena, where your medical insurance card does not work? You're right. You would waive it, and it's like, I'm sorry, we don't take your money, we don't take your insurance. It's free.
It's wonderful.
I mean, how awesome is that? Yeah. That's what we do here at First Choice. And so these young ladies come in and they need help. That's what we do. We help them. And we give them information about what an abortion is, if they are abortion-minded, right? But if they would like more information about the life of their child, we have sonographers here, nurses, doctors on staff, and making it happen for these young ladies. So that's what First Choice is all about. And so for this past week, I wanted to give you the stats. Just in the past 6 days, First Choice has completed 60 pregnancy tests. In other words, that's 60 young ladies that have come through these doors in the past week just wanted to find out if they're pregnant, and we've done 33 ultrasounds free of charge for these young ladies who are wanting to see, the stage of their pregnancy, perhaps. Maybe they want to hear the heartbeat of their child or whatever. And we show them. And, I wish I had them, but we have you see these little red things? I'm going to show you them, but I don't have them with you to show. But they're little heartbeat recorders. These things are so cool. If you ever come to First Choice and take a tour, Max, my producer, is going to get one right now. For those of you who are listening on KV, you can't see this, so I'm going to have to describe it to you. But these little hearts are wonderful, and what these do, they're little red-shaped hearts, about the size of a silver dollar, right? And they record the heartbeat of the mother when the sonogram is being done, right? And the heartbeat of their child is recorded on this little heart, and they can play it anytime. I mean, how cool is this? And it's free. It's free, so that the mom can take this and just play this heartbeat anytime they want to hear the heartbeat of their child in the womb. I mean, Reminder I love First Choice. I love First Choice. And you can too, by the way. So if you would like to be a sponsor, maybe you can't make the gala, right? It's $150 per seat per person, which would be awesome if you could. But maybe you would like to take a tour of the facility, give First Choice a call and say, hey, look, I would love to come see what you guys are doing. Maybe you could be an ambassador for First Choice. Look, a lot of churches don't even know we exist, right? And what's more needed now in our city and state ever than good Christian counseling for women who are in a crisis pregnancy situation? How wonderful would it be through you to introduce First Choice to your youth group or to your church so that we can make a presentation that is going to change the life. Look, I'm telling you this truthfully, the reason I'm sitting here is because the gospel, not only is it being preached, if you will, in love and compassion to every single person that walks through these doors, but we're actively being Christ in their life. Actually, bringing the gospel through action and help and love and compassion and understanding to every single client that walks through those doors. That's why I absolutely love this ministry. And if you came and visited First Choice, I promise you, you would love it too. And you're not going to get a little heart unless you're pregnant, but at least you can listen to these things. This is absolutely wonderful things. I remember, I think it was last year we had the gala. Mm-hmm. And they put a bunch of these little hearts on the tables.
I was there.
There was a zillion tables, and everybody turned theirs on at the same. And there's a million heartbeats going off. It was crazy, but it is very memorable. And mothers love these things. And I just love the ingenuity of how we can love other people in ministry, and how wonderful it is to have a clinic that people can go to. Don't pay a dime for such a life-changing event such as pregnancy. And so, look, if you'd like to take a tour of the place, give them a call. Say, hey, look, I want to take a tour. 702-294-CARE. That's 702-294-2273. And say, look, I want to come find out what First Choice is all about. I want to come take a tour, and we're going to show you the whole place. You will love this little clinic as soon as you walk through the door. Am I right, Lorena?
Absolutely.
You will.
There's no more beautiful work than this.
I just love it, and you will too. All right, Lorena, we got to get to you.
Yes, let's go. First of all, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. I have to say, this is the first official school board member that I have ever interviewed.
Great.
And how cool is it that it's one of our own? I mean, it's
part of history.
We got to interview. We had to interview you at KKVV during the election cycle when you were campaigning, and it was successful. She actually, and I believe you're in my district, so I got to vote for you.
District
how good is that? I get to vote for.
I hope you did. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
All glory be to God, because it was the power of prayer ultimately that got me across the finish line.
Yeah, and was it close, or was it a resounding win?
It was an astonishing win. I won by almost 25,000 votes plus.
And how many voting are in your? Well, how many cast a vote?
72,000 out of 120,000 total. I got 72,000.
Wow.
So I got the majority.
Wow.
Votes. So
people love you.
Oh, thank you. They love the message, and parents want to be taken into account. So
let me tell you something, folks. If God has called you to public service, and maybe He has, there is nothing more honorable than being a stateswoman or a statesman for your city, community, state, county, right? Then going up and saying, you know what, I'm going to represent my Lord and Savior by representing my people. Oh, man, how good is that? You can be that. Look, I'm sitting next to a successful... And
we can do it.
It can be done.
Yes.
It can be done. So for those of you who say, well, I don't do politics because they're all corrupt. Look, how wonderful would it be, Lorena, if every single member of the Clark County School District was going to church, loved the Lord, was reading their Bible every single day, and was making prayer there. How wonderful would the school board be then?
We'd empty out private schools.
You would empty out private schools. You would.
Yes, because parents would trust that.
Parents would trust the school board.
Right.
So it can happen. It can happen. So we've got a couple of issues. One of the things I want to talk about with you briefly. It's been a tough week.
It has.
I was watching. I didn't even know this was an issue until a few days ago. This is the first year that two of my children are in high school, in the same school. And unfortunately, sadly, a number of children are being impacted, literally struck by vehicles, going to and from schools. And sadly, that for whatever reason, in this past week, 2 12-year-old children have passed away because they were struck by a vehicle, right? Two 12-year-olds. right? Just this past week, the vehicle incidents are up by 110%. One of those was struck by DUI. She's under the influence. Now, I don't know if it's alcohol or marijuana, but I tell you, listen, you want to talk about the unintended consequences of having prolific marijuana dispensaries throughout your city. You can't expect things like this to go down. You can't expect accidents to decrease. You're increasing the availability of inebriating substances or controlled substances into your community. I know we didn't talk about this, but this is an unintended consequence.
It's common sense.
And so this isn't helping. And I don't know if it's the cause. I really don't. But from last year to this year, children being hit by vehicles is up 110%. 110%, over double this time last year. Last year, 39 kids were struck by vehicles. Now it's 84. 84 already. Children, your children, my children, yours, mine, are getting hit by vehicles going to and from school. So I know it's breaking your heart because this falls right in your wheelhouse.
It is, and especially because it's happening now that I am in the position I am, and I'm having to see it fall literally right under our leadership. So we have to do something about it.
Right.
I feel very much front and center in this situation to act. So I am calling, and I had explained this to you. We operate as a board. So there needs to be an agreement between us, a meeting of the minds. We need to put everything on the table and start discussing what action is going to be taken. But it has to be swift, and it has to be immediate and drastic to rise to the level of this tragedy.
And you don't have to go into detail, but you have steps you have ideas about how to alleviate some of these problems. And you're working. This has not gone unnoticed, obviously. And so we won't definitely go into the details of that, but this is something that you're addressing and is going to be addressed. So listen, folks, we've got Lorena on this. It's on it. We know this is a very, very, very serious problem. Right. Look, we want our children to go to school safely, not to have a problem with it, and we'll work it out.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but more than anything, and I really do want to stress this, I am one of those parents, just like you, that is taking my kids to school and is seeing the danger around the campuses, that has been calling for action. But now I'm in a position to do something about it, thank God, because I am. And the fact that my son also goes to a high school, and that I see that there are no crossing guards, that it's on a main street, this is what needs to be immediately dealt with. And so I'm ready to do something about it. And I think parents want to see this because now what? Now we saw this tragedy happen with Haley Ryan and Christopher Suarez. Rest in peace, and may God have them in His glory.
These parents are brokenhearted, and this is just like, come on, they're just going to and from school. There's an answer. Lorena is on it. I'm just telling you straight up. Lorena is on it. There's going to be solutions that are going to be put in place to make egress and to and from school safer, and it can be done. This is not like trying to climb Mount Everest. This is a solvable problem. It's solvable, and so I know. I know sometimes maybe you feel like a lone wolf on some issues, but I guarantee you this. Listen, on that school board, when the children's lives are in danger, everybody's going to be on the same page because now people are asking questions, obviously. And so they're all going to be paying attention. You mentioned everything is on the board. They're going to be looking at everything. So children's safety, obviously a priority for Lorena, and I'm sure the entire school board. I mean, this is going to be fixed.
And on a side note, I'm never alone.
Well, that's true, too.
Because I have God
we
is
have
with
the Lord.
me.
That's exactly right. We have the Lord with us, and you're a convincing young lady. And the other thing is, too, I don't know how many other school board members actually have children that are in the school system.
At least 3.
At least 3 of them?
Other than me, yeah. Or 4. 4, actually.
There's 4.
It's quite a few of us.
And the number of total school board members are?
11.
There's 11. So you got 4. Okay. So, but still, no one wants to go down as saying, well, during my tenure as a, Clark County school trustee, we had more accidents with kids and cars than ever. So trust me, this is going to be dealt with, and we're looking forward to that.
And I do want the community to know that there is change coming to address this.
Yeah. But you're on it.
Yes.
You're on it. Now, another one of the things that we're talking about, and before we get to this, I want to talk about our sponsors. So before we go any further with our interview with Lorena Biasotti, Clark County School Board trustee, serving you and your children.
And speaking for myself today.
And speaking for herself today,
yes.
Unofficially. But first we want to hear from our sponsors. I want to take a moment to acknowledge one of the great sponsors that make this portion of the broadcast possible, and that's Dr. Ray Kelly of Kelly Chiropractic. Treats injuries from falls, accidents, motor vehicle crashes, work-related incidents. For those of you who are suffering from allergies, he also has a procedure called acutherapy, going to treat your allergies and ease some of that discomfort. Accepts most forms of insurance. Been in the business over 33 years here in Las Vegas. Give him a call. Set up your appointment. The number is 702-870-9200. Welcome back. And I'm speaking with Lorena Biasotti, who's the Clark County School District trustee. And this is the young lady who's she's in charge of your child. Her and with 11 other members, making sure that you obviously you review everything. Anything that touches your child in a school board, in your school, high school, elementary school, whatever, it falls in front of your desk.
Right. And the metrics we use is always what's in the best interest of our kids. And I know I've said it. I said it throughout my campaign, and I am living up to it. I always put our parental concerns front and center. Mm-hmm. Everything that gets passed in front of me, I always put it through the lens of how are parents feeling about this. And I know we also didn't talk about, the tragedy with Charlie Kirk that just recently happened.
Yeah, that's tough.
And the comments that were made. And I was advocating for parents and, the unease and concerns that we feel in trusting our children to under the guidance of certain people that would have such horrible things to say and not just say, but feel. And that's where the problem is that we don't want people around our kids that are capable of having very evil feelings.
That, we didn't talk about this part of the show, but our last 3 shows were touched on that specifically. And in fact, last week we had, if you remember, Pastor Childers, who I called the Earl of Forgiveness. He's written a book, Forgiveness, It Is Not Optional. It's a wonderful book to live by, actually. Certainly helped me. But one of the problems that we were seeing was that from both sides, there were vehement feelings about, some in some cases you were, from the left, if you will, they were saying, well, he deserved what he got. And on the right, on the far right, you would have a bunch of people say, well, listen, what did that person say? Find out where they work. We're calling their employer and actively trying to end their job. So we're like, the extremes on both sides are a little tough. So that's why I brought Pastor Childers on, because first of all, I don't think, I was editorializing here, but if we really vehemently pursue people because of what they've said publicly in a media forum, that, just because they said it, that's their opinion, they have a free right of speech, it's horrible. What happens, though, if the person who said it is a teacher, who's a professor, a doctor? One case, in one unit, I think there's been 2 or 3 firings. One of them was an assistant dean at the University of Tennessee. So there's been some high-level dismissals from people who have had... and so the question becomes, do you want someone who, that Charlie Kirk, he deserved what he got, and do you want that person teaching your child? Where is the line drawn? And my heart is, I think we need to look at our motivation. In fact, that's what Pastor Childers talked about. If you find that you have a teacher that is making these type of statements, let's just say, hypothetically, then certainly you're concerned, especially if it goes public or your child is coming home and saying, well, you know what, my teacher went like crazy and said that Charlie Kirk deserved what he got, and if there's anybody else that wants to do that, they're going to get it too. Perhaps then there's a concern. What's your motivation? Is it for, the safety of other children? That's one thing. But if you're coming at it from just pure anger and rage, then that's probably not where you want to come from. And that was one of the points that Pastor Childers made. What is your motivation in seeking redress for people who are making these type of statements? I certainly don't want to go into specifics. I'm sure you're not going to allow me to do that. But let's just say I hope we haven't seen a lot of that in our Clark County. I'm sure there's been some, but I'm hoping this is not a big issue.
It's not anywhere near the majority, but I do think we need to have standards, and decency is a bare minimum across the board. If you have an employer that doesn't mind, then you got lucky. But you can't expect organizations or institutions to just give you a pass and make them look bad, make them feel. You have to be responsible and accountable to what image you put out.
Exactly, and there's two sides of this though. Once you put something on the internet, there forever. So if you go and say something crazy, then guess what? 20 years from now, or maybe next week, it could be brought back up against you, and now you're having to answer for it, especially if it's an employer, because the employer doesn't want to look. Now, there's another issue when you're a public servant, right? Police officer, fireman, paramedic, school teacher, professor, right? What's, to me, those people should, in those positions, should be able to tailor their speech and, keep their opinion, if you will.
I just want to add, I do have a couple Democrat teachers that are friends that I'm familiar with that sat it out. That's literally all they said. They also were shocked at the comments that were made by some of these people on social media, because it's not that hard to just sit it out and not say anything. If you don't have anything nice to say, right? The golden rule.
Right.
It's that simple. And I mean, but for you to have that type of emotion that you felt, forced to come out on social media and just put that out there, it just means you're very passionate about those negative feelings. And that's, I think, what so many parents found alarming.
Yeah, we did. I think I read a poll. It was a poll done. It was only 1,000 students at university level, and we brought. I think it was 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. We did a show, and but even in that 1,000 student polling, it was troubling because about 33% were of the he kind of deserved what he got, and I couldn't believe the numbers were that high. But it's scary. But regardless, if you have that type of opinion. Look, there's a lot of people that love Charlie, love Turning Point, love what they do. You have to respect it, even if you don't agree with it, right? And it's
I just think it's human decency, and I think as more time has gone on, we have seen that deterioration happen in our culture, in our society, and that was just a glimpse into where people are right now, and the ability to be that evil. I have no other word for it.
Yeah, I don't understand it, to be honest with you, but I've seen it on both sides, but I've seen it a lot more on the left, to be honest with you.
That's the truth.
But even on the right though, it's not pretty. I mean, folks want their pound of flesh. Look what they've done to us. And now we're going to get them. That's just not where. We don't need to be there. We can win the day through an avenue of love. I honestly believe that. Sure, we want to inspire change in our community. Absolutely. But doing it through anger, never going to work. It's just never going to work.
Right. And to that point, if I could just point out that during the BLM and the George Floyd riots, I never saw any teacher from the right or anyone praise that, and I'm sure they would have came down on them. There would have been consequences for praising a death. So I think it just needs to be applied across the board, what we expect from teacher, because they didn't have that problem with conservatives praising death, but when it happens, it needs to be addressed. And I do want to mention the superintendent did take action and remove those teachers from the classroom. So
There were some incidents, basically.
yes, there were some, not all.
Right.
And I know some other parents have shared other comments that have been circulated, but the most bold and brash ones that were put out there were dealt with.
You know, temperance.
Yes.
It's, especially if you're a teacher, you would that would be in your wheelhouse also. Because you want to inspire that type of thing with your students. You would imagine. So yeah, teachers, you're to be a model towards your students, and they need to look up to you. And so you have to be careful. And I'm sure 99% of the teachers out there know this. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. So
That's right.
okay, so that's good. That's that. Now, I presume you have heard about the story. Well, I know you have because we talked about it before the show. But we've mentioned it in prior broadcasts. There in Fairfax County, Virginia, right? In Fairfax County, Virginia, there was a student who got pregnant, and the school nurse, counselor, if you will, in this case, was a school counselor, ushered this little girl away for a secret abortion. Parents didn't know. There was no notification, certainly no consent. And and the girl got the abortion, and parents found out about it later. And turns out there was a teacher at that very same school that tried to alert the staff, the administration, of this problem. And yeah, I think we have the story up there. And we have the statement. But here it goes. It says, an English as a second language teacher, an ESOL teacher, last name Perez, alleged that a school social worker at Centerville High School facilitated and paid for a 17-year-old student's abortion in 2021 without parental consent. Now, the thing in Virginia is that for any type of medical procedure like abortion to be procured, you have to notify the parent. It is a requirement. So basically, this student, this counselor, this social worker at this school broke the law, right? And so this teacher, Perez, she warned the administration 7 times. She went to them and warned them that you have a school social worker who is ushering girls out. In fact, there was another young lady who was 5 months pregnant and tried to procure an abortion for her, but the girl changed her mind and said, no, we're going to go, I want to keep my baby, and is now a mother. Thank you, Lord. But there's a problem here. And so I don't know that this is an epidemic, but I'm glad that you're here today, Lorena, to set the record straight about what school counselors and schools can do when they come across a teenager that is pregnant. Now, right now, when we're going to get into this a little bit right now, but Planned Parenthood, since 1985, we have not had we've had a parental notification law, but Planned Parenthood has enjoined it, and a judge struck it down in the U.S. District Court. And 6 months ago, we had that injunction lifted, right? That injunction was lifted, so now parents in Nevada must be notified if the minor child, doesn't matter from where she comes, is going to have that abortion surgery. The parents must be notified, right? Well, a week ago, Planned Parenthood is now going back to the U.S. District Court to try and reinstate this injunction so that secret abortions for minor children, your 11, 12, 13-year-old, if they get pregnant, Planned Parenthood wants to make sure that that child gets her abortion without parents even being notified. And we're talking about consent. Not talking about consent. I mean, just notification. Just, you will be notified. You can't stop it, but you will at least be notified, right? So my worry was that what happened in Virginia,
Right.
where you have a school counselor, a school, whatever she was called, social worker, would think that they have the ability to, surreptitiously obtain an abortion that the young girl wants without parents being notified or without their parental consent, you are here to tell me that that is a big no-no.
Absolutely not allowed in Clark County schools. We do have a regulation, policy 5150, that mandates parental notification for any one of these key issues that's related to the health of students. So, regardless of whatever NRS is in place, we have a policy in place. And if an NRS were to change in the future, then we would revise the policy, update it, whatever the case may be. But right now, we have Regulation 5150 that does require parental notification. So if an employee were to violate that policy, they are subject to disciplinary action.
And what about civil, or they wouldn't be considered criminal if this is
Right.
allowable by the NRS statute. But
Right.
could there be civil ramifications for someone who procured an abortion for someone's minor daughter?
I mean, I personally encourage parents and to exhaust every legal option at their hands to seek, justice and what's
Yeah.
fair for their child. But when it comes to the district, if there is no NRS that can bring about, criminal charges, then there isn't. But what is in place is a regulation that employees have to adhere to.
Okay. Well, that's look. I have children in high school. I have 3 daughters, and this affects all of us. I mean, the last thing we want to know is if our daughter gets in trouble. Now, I mean, obviously you want to have a really good relationship with your children, who would tell you anything, even if it's a life-changing event like a pregnancy, that they would come to you. But that's not always the case. And, there's a huge percentage of single-parent homes in every community. And a lot of the standards aren't quite the same from home to home. And so it's a problem. It's reassuring to know, to me at least, and I'm sure to a lot of our listeners, that there's not going to be legally any school nurses who are trying to secret away your troubled teen to an abortion center. Now, one of my concerns is question 6. Now, question 6,
Yes.
there's a couple of concerns, but let's just jump right to question 6, because in a year and a half, doesn't matter what the NRS states, we're going to change our Constitution one way or the other. It's either going to stay in status quo, which is still pretty bad, but at least currently there's parental notification. There's no consent, but at least there's parental notification in the status quo. And, of course, abortions are legal up to 6 months in our state. Because the other is to go to 9 months, and they don't want any parental notification, and they don't even want a licensed physician. That language has been stricken. Now all you need to be is a healthcare professional. If you don't believe me, read it. I think next week we'll put it up so you can see it for yourself. But the ballot question just requires all you need to be is a healthcare professional to perform an abortion on a woman in our state. A licensed healthcare professional, whatever that means, which could be a massage. I think even tattoo artists have
Dental hygienist.
Yeah, I mean, a dental hygienist. I mean, it's insanity what they want to change our Constitution to. But so here's my question to you. And please, Lord, do not let me be a prophet. But say question 6 passes, right? There goes parental notification. Forget consent. Now, with the proliferation of the abortion drug in our society now, most abortions are done that way now, are parents facing, let's say it passes, what are the possible ramifications of that with school nurses and counselors and such inside the school district? Even if our Constitution changes to where now anything goes. You can have an abortion for any reason or no reason. Is the school board going to have to revisit this issue and change their guidelines? What's going to happen?
Not necessarily, because the policies are not shaped specifically after our laws. There are concerns parents have, and that is why it's so important that we have parents engaging the school board, the school district. We have new leadership, and I've mentioned that with Superintendent Joan Ebert, who I trust there is more common sense there. She's more responsive to the needs of parents. Mm-hmm. I don't see her ever being in favor of this, of the abortions being, administered or secretly facilitated behind parents, the back of parents. I don't see that happening, but I can't stress enough how important it is that parents make sure it isn't going to happen, that it's going to go nowhere near that. And you have to stay on top of it, stay involved, contact the administrator, ask questions, make appointments to your principal, shoot the superintendent an email, the board of trustees. Just make sure your concerns are being addressed. Mm-hmm. Don't sit back at home and I wonder if this is what's going to happen. I wonder how the school district is going to approach this. Just voice your concerns, and they are being taken into account. And not just by me. I've seen it even with my colleagues. These emails that come through, mm-hmm. whether we agree with them or not, they're being discussed. Okay. So what I urge all parents to do is just to keep voicing their concerns. If you take the time, we have school board meetings twice a month, only twice. And the public comment section of those meetings allows you to say anything. It doesn't have to be agenda related.
Be respectful.
Yes. And even if you're upset or you're sad,
still be respectful.
Yes. But show up and say, this is what I have a problem with. You have an opportunity to be face to face with the superintendent, with all the trustees that are shaping these policies. So you have to put your concerns there to also be taken into account when we're forming these policies and shaping whatever, the future of what schools are going to look like. Mm-hmm. So bring your voice to the table so we can listen to it. And there's so many number of ways you can do that, through email, through phone calls, through your principal. But I always suggest the school board meetings because they are effective.
School board meetings are effective, okay.
Yes. School board, public comment, school board meetings. I know sometimes they, depending on the size of the agenda, they can go on for an hour or two. But as long as you arrive before that portion at the end of the meeting, the public comment, mm-hmm. and you turn in the yellow slip or you sign up to speak, you'll be able to address your concerns there.
And will we get to see you?
Yes, I'll be there. I'll wave quietly, discreetly.
Oh, that's good. That's very good. And so, be a part. Listen, get involved. I mean, yes. If you don't like some of the policies that, look, Lorena, one of the wonderful things that you did, I thought was critical, was this opt-in form for sexual education in so-called sexual health classes in our public schools that the high schoolers now are required to take. Now they have to do the opt-in. I am so thankful. My daughter, she was not happy with me because I did not sign the, but I said, but this is what we fought for this stuff. That's all right. It's okay. Listen, you want to talk about this at home. Look, I love you teachers out there, but when I don't, Lorena.
It shouldn't be a casual conversation.
Yes.
It shouldn't, because that lends into casual, behavior around sexual content, and it shouldn't be. It's something that needs to be monitored and supervised under our leadership. And I think parents always want to have the last word when it comes to something that sensitive.
Yes.
Anything sexual in nature. So
because listen, how do I know that the state's moral viewpoint on sexuality is certainly analogous with mine as a parent? I don't know that. Right? And you also mentioned, I believe, that if we wanted to see we could request the curriculum. You can go to the school and say, hey, listen, I want to know, okay, before I opt in or out or whatever, I want to know what that sexual education, what are you going to be presenting to little Susie? I mean, she's only 12. I want to know what you're going to be presenting, or 13. I want to see it. all right, and they will sit down, right? Your
Yes.
school will sit down and talk with you and show you what it is that you're. For me, I was like, no, just opt in. I'll take care of this at home. Thank you very much. And that was my. And so I want to thank you for making that happen. So,
Well, there were a lot of people that made it happen. Ultimately, when this was being discussed during the legislative sessions, not just myself, but a lot of other community members
Oh, man.
showed up.
See,
But that
common
was the
sense.
key difference. We showed up and
Common
you voiced those
sense.
concerns.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
And you can make a difference. And the people did. And I'm just.
And the other change was the books.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that.
Another positive change that's
Yes,
came
and
about.
see, this is why your vote matters. Look, even if you don't run for school board, governor, lieutenant, whatever it is, right, assemblywoman, your votes matter because when you find superstars like Lorena, you want to make sure that they get into office to make the changes that are analogous to your beliefs and your heartfelt convictions, right? And so, one of the things Lorena has done beautifully, delicately, was you've made these books online.
Well, what happened is that we opened up the libraries now. So you can go to every school website and the link to that library of that particular school will be there. Click on it and you will see every school that sits in that library. So you can check if you have your checklist, if you have a Monster Liberty checklist or whatever online.
You'll see every book, every single book that's in that library, you will see on the website
Yes.
for your school.
So
How great is that?
it is. It's great. Any concern you have on any book that you've heard about, you go into the library, you can check it out. And if you don't like it, and this is a great part, there is a form. It's the CCF 400 form, I believe. But you can request it at the school. You can find it online also. And with that form, you submit it, you fill it out, you say what you don't like about the book, and the principal has to meet with the librarian and you to discuss why this book should remain in the library, why it shouldn't. So you get to contest the books.
Yeah, and you could convince, maybe you can grab your husband or maybe you can grab a couple of people in your community and say, hey, look, sit down with them and say, look, this is transgender, all this stuff. And it's teaching little Johnny who's 7 that, you could do maybe you don't want that book in there. I remember there's Heather Has Two Mommy. Maybe you don't want those books in there for your elementary school kids. Listen, now you can make a change because now you'll know that the books are there because Lorena has made a difference.
I've been advocating heavily for this change to happen.
Man, I tell you.
So I was very, very happy to see this.
See, that's why I love this. Is not look for those of you. I know you're sitting out there. All of these politicians are all corrupt. They're on the take.
Not all of them. Not all of them.
Lorena, how does it feel to know that you're on the take at the Clark County School District?
It's an awesome thing.
You're somehow you're making a lot of money. We don't know about it.
Oh, yeah. enough money to have gas to get to the meetings. That I do have. So I have no excuse to not get there.
There's great politicians out there, but I mean, you got to find them. But when you do find them, you really have to advocate for them. And so, how long is your tenure? And how long will you be able to sit as a Clark County trustee?
4 years. So until 2028, I will be sitting there and hoping to see you.
My kids will be out of high school. Yay!
My kids will still be there. One just graduated this year, and I had the privilege of announcing, doing the speech at her graduation, and then welcoming her class, certifying it.
Oh, how cool is that?
One of the most special moments of my life.
Oh, man.
Up there with giving birth to them. So it was so special.
That is so cool.
Quite a blessing. It was.
So, man. Fantastic.
But I just want you to know, and I want everyone to know, I do care for all the students as if they were my own. Truly.
Yeah, I believe that. That's why we. And I'm fortunate enough to say that she's in my district, so I got to vote for her. So I mean, it's really great. So, 4 years, great. That's fantastic.
Yes.
And then we'll make her run again. No, we won't.
Well, we'll see what happens then.
But I tell you what, if even if she doesn't decide to run, she'll know who a good replacement, 2 or 3 good replacements will be candidates.
That you can definitely count on.
And they will be going to you for your endorsement anyway. So.
I will be looking closely at the candidates that are coming up. We have 3 seats up for reelection next year. So we're eyeing those, and hopefully if we can get more conservatives, we'll see faster and more effective change happening.
Yes.
So it's all there. All it takes is to get out there, vote, and volunteer. Some of you see a candidate that you like that aligns with your beliefs and your values, give them a call. They'll be happy to tell you. If you can knock out maybe a block or two, just passing out flyers or helping, it goes such a long way. That's sometimes better than even donations in money.
Right.
Donate your time.
Yeah. See there?
Yeah.
And it can happen. I often tell people, how wonderful would it be, if every paramedic, every police officer, every, Clark County School District trustee, every councilman or councilwoman or assemblyman just loved the Lord and was all, they were going to church attendance and wouldn't it be great? Well, that can't happen if we don't vote them in, when we find them. And there are great candidates out there. We just have to find them. And then you never know. Sometimes the Lord's going to put something on your heart that you never imagined. Like what was the inspiring thing that said, you know what, I'm going to run? What did it for you?
My kids, obviously. That's my heart. My passion has been my beautiful 4 children, my fat 4. And it all stemmed from the lockdowns, right? When we saw the mask mandates, that my little girl was set to begin kindergarten. And a week, I think the day before the first day of school, Sisalak brought down the mask mandate, and I had to break her heart. That doesn't come easy. It did not come easy. Having to break my daughter's heart and tell her that she was not going to have a kindergarten class or teacher or her school bus that she wanted to climb into, all of that motivated me to go into the school board meetings, make change happen, and advocate for our concerns, because at the end of the day, they matter most when it comes to our kids. We're in charge of them. We have parental rights that are constitutional. Yeah. They're backed by the Constitution. So that was where my passion came from, my kids. And, I started a group called My Children's Advocate, where we started pushing back on even protested what was it? What do you call him? The drag queen story hour.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Some things are it's just insanity. Can you imagine drag queens reading books to your kindergartner?
No.
In full makeup. There's a man there, but they don't think I don't know what they think, but they're in makeup and eyeliner and wigs and a dress, and they're reading to your little Johnny and your little Susie books. And Lord knows what kind of books. Yeah,
we need drag queens to stay in their clubs on the strip, whatever. If there's an adult that wants to sign up for that, that's out of. But with our kids, that should be an area that they never.
No.
Trespass. It's a trespass. But to go back to My Children's Advocate, there will be a list of endorsed candidates next year. Mm-hmm. And there will be town halls where candidates are going to have the opportunity to speak and say why they are the best fit for our kids. Okay. So that's a good resource. And there are other ones out in the community that our constituents and voting members can take a look at when deciding who's the best person for the job.
And if parents want to find out about, when the next meeting is that they can attend, the parents' meeting where they can address the school board, where can they go to find out that information?
That's also going to be on My Children's Advocate. It's posted when a board meeting is coming up. There are a couple other organizations, parental groups that put out, Moms for Liberty is another one. Mm-hmm. And this, look it up. We're there. We're posting. People are posting it. The school board meetings are every Thursday, twice a month. There's one coming up this Thursday at 5:00. And like I said, the public comment portion of the meeting is towards the end of the meeting. So if you have time, show up. If you want to get there an hour in, just to sign up for the meeting itself. you'll have that opportunity then.
All right, perfect. I'm speaking with Lorena Biasotti, who's the Clark County School District trustee, and will be so for the next 3 years, protecting your little Susie and little
Not
Johnny.
going anywhere for a
Not
while.
going anywhere. But in a moment, I want to take a moment to acknowledge one of the sponsors that make this portion of the broadcast possible that we've already gone through now. And so take a listen to this. I want to take a moment to acknowledge one of the great sponsors of the Champions for Life radio broadcast, such as RTS Postal Express, for all your Las Vegas copy needs. Black and white copies, color copies, business cards, resumes, you name it. RTS Postal Express is going to meet your needs quickly. RTS stands for really terrific service. See my man, Angelo. Here's the telephone number, 702-489-4859. And if you mention the Champions for Life radio broadcast, get 10% off your first order. And welcome back, folks. Again, I'm speaking with Lorena Biasotti, who is the Clark County School District trustee. And it's just been wonderful speaking with you today. I mean, it's so refreshing. You know, it's so refreshing to have people that you can trust, that especially that are in charge of your kids and your kids' curriculum to an extent. At least everything that, you know, has to be reviewed through you. And I mean, it's so good. You know, I can sleep better.
I can too. I share the same relief once I got in there. I can actually voice my concerns that I know are the concerns of so many of us, that we want a God-fearing conscience on our children.
Amen.
We don't want that eradicated. We want our freedoms to be respected. And the Supreme Court did rule we have a freedom of religion in public schools.
There you
so
go.
that cannot be violated.
Amen.
And I am fighting for those.
Fantastic. Again, Lorena, I want to thank you so much for being on the broadcast today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We'll have you back. If anything happens that's important, you need to just get a hold of us and we'll bring you right back. And
Perfect.
folks, that's the end of our broadcast. Remember, if you have questions about anything that you've heard or seen today, you can either leave us an email or comment below, or you can call First Choice. Our number 702-294-CARE. Well, God bless you, and we'll see you next week.